Welcome to April's Bar Talk. I'm Jonathan Dunitz, president of the Maine State Bar Association for 2024. As many of you know, my theme for this year is attorney well-being, and so today's Bar Talk will be about well-being. We'll get to that in a little bit more in a minute, but the remainder of the Bar Talks this month, or this year, will follow the Institute for Wellbeing and Law's Wellbeing Week in Law. So this month it is Stay Strong. Well, I'm not sure what order we're going to do them in, but we will follow up with Align, Engage and Grow, Connect, and Feel Well. And those deal with various aspects of well-being, from spiritual well-being to foster a sense of meaning and purpose in life. Engage and Grow, which is occupational and intellectual well-being, Connecting, which is social well-being, building a network, and Feel Well, emotional well-being. I'm thinking that I'm going to save emotional well-being until September or October, when we get towards the holiday season and people start getting stressed out. That's probably a good time to talk about the emotional well-being. Before we get started, we have some great news. If you look at the slide, do you want to do this or shall I, Angela?
Either way is fine.
We have hired Molly Rogers as our membership director. Molly has been with the Bar Association for a number of years and was previously the membership and CLE coordinator. Very excited to have her stepping up to membership director. The only bad news is that we now have to find a new membership and CLE coordinator. So we will be posting that soon. We've also looking for an office administrator and someone to as a sections and committees coordinator as we build out our staff. We have a small staff that's been working very, very hard, and we're trying to look after their well-being by getting them some extra assistance. As you probably have seen from our Wellness Wednesday emails, the Institute for Wellbeing and Law's Wellbeing Week in Law, Institute for Wellbeing and Law, Wellbeing Week in Law, they got to fix that. That's a lot. That will be May 6th through 10th. It focuses on attorney well-being. You can sign up on lawyerwellbeing.net, and they will send you some links to programs each day of the week. Save the date for the Summer Bar Conference, June 26th through 28th. We are working diligently at putting that together. As you may have guessed, there is a wellness track at that, but we will also have a number of other programs for folks to attend if they are not focused on well-being, or if they're already focused on well-being and want to do some other things. We will also be doing our annual welcome to new members of our life member category. So June 26th to 28th, Bar Harbor. Can't beat Bar Harbor in June before the tourists arrive. So I would sign up now. And I'm going to hand it over to Angela now for the member benefit highlight.
Good morning, everyone. So we're going to highlight lawyer referral service this month. And I know Celine, for those of you who joined us last month, Celine Boyle, our new lawyer referral director, joined us. And we got to introduce her then. But we're really trying to put this in front of our members because it is a service that is sorely needed. We really found that out when we closed it down for several months due to lack of staff. And still the number of calls and emails that came in, people looking for an attorney. And we do not have enough people in the service. It is free to MSBA members. We've got Celine, who's doing a fabulous job of vetting the calls, making sure that the referrals that she's making are good cases for our attorneys, and we really need members in the service. So that link, which will be available once this is posted on our website, takes you right to the Join Lawyer Referral Service page. We really could use some attorneys in the service. So please take a moment to look and see what that all has to offer. And Jonathan, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Angela. Just one more thing is that the main bar journal for the next issue will be also focusing on well-being. But we did start a new column last month. I don't know who has seen it, but it's where an attorney talks about their experiences with well-being. I kicked it off with a column about my depression. And so we are looking for any other attorneys who are willing to share their experiences so that those in our community understand that it's not just nameless statistics, but it is their neighbors, colleagues, friends, etc. If you want to are thinking about that, please feel free to reach out to me or Catherine Holub. I would now really excited to welcome our guest, Sam Keltos, who's a loss control analyst at MEMIC, to talk about attorney physical well-being. When we asked her to do this, we asked Sam to focus not on going to the gym, because I figured that if you don't go to the gym, Sam telling you about the gym isn't going to help. So she's going to talk about the things that you can do on a day-to-day basis to help your well-being. And with that, welcome, Sam. Thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you all for inviting me to speak today and for letting me know ahead of time not to talk about the gym. What I will like to speak with you today about is how to take care of your physical outside of being active in just the sense of a gym sense. So, a little bit about myself. I currently work for MEMIC, which for some of you may be your partners in workers' comp. But prior to joining MEMIC, I have been in corporate health and fitness my entire life. I was a D1 softball player, and that had a lot of different ways to stay physically fit. But taking that and putting that into the corporate workplace was really my passion, working with the adults, the older adults, helping transition from a very active youth status into adulthood, and then figuring out how to carry that through into the later years. So that's my passion. And I also have had many shoulder surgeries. So I really like working with shoulders to make sure that as long as we are alive, we can continue pushing things above our head and having those healthy ranges of motion. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm excited to learn about you guys. So if you would like to participate using the emojis or a thumbs up, just answering any of these questions. How many of you played a high school or college sport? And I'm going to move through these maybe a little fast because it will all tie in together. Thank you. I saw that thumbs up right there. How many of you as children or adults went to an annual physical exam? I'm going to put my own thumb up there, even if I didn't want to go. How many of you had a set bedtime? And that might have gotten away from you as you got a little bit more independent. Thank you for the thumbs up. You guys are doing great. How many of you were consciously aware of the amount of water you were drinking? That one's a tough one, right? Yeah. How many of you had an injury and either got back up in the moment and continued playing or being active, or recovered from an injury that might have included some sort of therapy after? Nice. Okay. And how many of you believe right now that it's normal to feel uncomfortable? Meaning that back pain that you've had for a little while, it's normal, or it's normal to not feel great day in and day out. Thank you guys so much. Oh, I see even more thumbs up. This is great. My goal today is to challenge you with being uncomfortable. And my reason for that is if you're uncomfortable, it means you're still growing and changing. And that's one of the ways that we continue to develop ourselves so that we don't become static and just become in a place where age is taking us on the rest of our journey. So today we're going to talk about 4 main topics: water being the biggest, ergonomics, sleep, and then preventative doctor's appointments. All of these will be tied back into your physical efforts on a day-to-day basis. And there's some fun tips in here on how you can take these small nuggets and put them into your daily life. Starting off with water. When I was reviewing this, I got made fun of. I think water is the GOAT. I think water is so underrated and it helps us in so many ways that I'm excited to share with you. The first, which might be commonly known, is that it helps us regulate our body temperature. And when we're in hot environments, like when you take a trip to Florida, water helps you stay hydrated so that your body temperature doesn't go into those unsafe zones, heading towards heat stroke and any of those nasty words that we don't want to talk about. Water helps us do that. But water also helps remove waste. And when you're going through your day-to-day basis, thanks for drinking water throughout this presentation for the record. When you're drinking water, it helps process things and helps them become excreted through our bodies. So if we had to say, do we want to regulate our body temperature or do we want to remove waste? We don't want our body to have to pick that choice. We want there to be enough water so that it can do both of those things really well. One of my favorite reasons to drink water is overnight recovery and sleep. Overnight recovery is a huge one in the sense that your body every night goes to sleep because it needs to recover for the next day. And although sleep is how our mind generally recovers, water is how we physically recover. If we don't have water in our system to carry us through the night, we might wake up with some Charlie horses or cramps. Have any of you ever had those? They are vicious, especially when you know they're not coming. So imagine giving your body enough water throughout the day so that it can do its job at night, which is helping you recover. It also takes part in digestion. When you eat food, it starts down into your stomach and works its way through your digestive tract. Water is what helps pull out the nutrients that allows us to head towards that end excretion. So by having enough water in our day, we not only can keep our bodies cooler, take care of removing things from our body. That includes the process of digestion, but that really sets us up to have a good night's sleep. And I'm sure you've all had those nights where you just sleep so well and you say to yourself the next morning, that was such a great night's sleep. I bet part of that was having really good water intake during the prior day. And that's what helps your body rejuvenate to be ready for the next morning. So I think it's important to say how much water is enough for our bodies. And in general, there's a rule of 1 ounce of water per 2 pounds of body weight. So someone who weighs 150 pounds would need roughly 75 ounces of water per day if they did nothing. That means laying in bed all day. And I don't know how many of you have the ability to do that, but it's certainly not me. So in reality, we should probably be drinking more of a 1-to-1 ratio of water for our body weight. And that means if we're working out, even taking steps on a daily basis or walking to or from certain locations, your body needs water to make sure your muscles are doing what they're supposed to do. So how can we fit water into our day in a seamless way? I know you guys have heard of the water cycle, but I'm going to name this the water break cycle. If you wake up in the morning, you have your cup of coffee or tea, and you fill up that water bottle. You bring that water bottle to work with you. And throughout your morning, you have a goal to finish it by the midway part of your morning. Hopefully by then, you are being called for a bio break, and you can bring that water bottle with you. After your bio break, go and fill it up again. Ideally, that gives you 2 fill-ups in the morning and 2 fill-ups in the afternoon. And as long as your water bottle's not 8 ounces, I think mine is close to 40, you'll get in enough water throughout the day for basic functioning activities. And my other little tidbit with water, because it's so fascinating, is if you're feeling dehydrated or feeling like you have that cotton taste in your mouth, you're already past the start of dehydration. So that means from a mental standpoint and a physical standpoint, you're already operating at a suboptimal level. So I encourage you to find ways to make water tasty, whether it's by adding in a little flavor or finding a flavorful drink that is not added sugar to keep you going throughout the day. I love water, so I invite you to that challenge of enjoying water as much as I do. All right. And I think I probably should have said, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat to Angela. I'll do my best, if not today, to get to them. All right, ergonomics. Ergonomics is a huge part of your day. And hopefully, as I say the word, you all just want to sit up a little taller in your chairs and maybe pull the shoulders back and just take a look at how you're sitting. I kept 2 pictures on here because ergonomics is such a dynamic part of your day. But in reality, it comes down to 2 things: keeping a neutral posture when you're standing and keeping a neutral posture when you're sitting. Ergonomics not only helps reduce your discomfort, it can help you reduce fatigue and reduce injuries. And while you're sitting here, if you aren't busy with your hands, feel free to do some wrist rolls because I'm sure you've been sitting at your desk for a while, and typing is a repetitive motion that can lead to injuries. Ergonomics also provides increases in efficiency because you're in a happier body position, your body wants to move more. It also increases the quality of your work because you're not worried about adjusting to remove discomfort. It also increases your job satisfaction. And I know that sounds really silly, but I'm sure you've sat in a chair where you're like, this is so uncomfortable. How can I get in a better position? And then you're mentally focused on your chair and not necessarily focused on the job. So imagine your body in the happiest position it could be in and not having to worry about any of those things. So in our ideal ergonomic situation, we can set up our body so that we are straight from shoulders down to toes, with our elbows at no more than 90 to 100 degrees. And that gives range of motion for us. In the seated position, it's exactly the same. I just did an ergonomic presentation as a part of MEMIC's offerings, and the number of questions we got on ergonomics was overwhelmingly positive in the sense that people really do want to make changes to their desk setting. And that's not only desk at work, it's desk at home and any other things that you might be doing, such as woodwork or deciding to cook. The more ergonomically friendly your setup is, the better chance you have of not having any physical issues. So I want to show you on this page that there's a lot of factors that go into ergonomics. It could be the frequency of a movement that you do. It could be the force that goes along with that movement, or it could be the posture that you hold during that movement. So let's take a recent example of mowing my lawn. If you have a lawnmower that's self-propelled, there's not a lot of force that goes into that. But if you have a motor that is not self-propelled, I was taking a few steps back to give that the oomph it needed to get up the hill. That is not only not safe, but I'm putting a lot of my own effort into that, which can cause an ergonomic issue, increasing my risk for injury. When you're sitting at your desk for hours, potentially, that's a constant posture that is also not healthy because the frequency that you're holding that posture is too long when our bodies are made to move on a regular basis. So having movement throughout your day, even if it's sitting, standing, every 15 to 30 minutes, that movement is going to reduce your risk because you're not maintaining that awkward posture for a long time. Lastly, when we talk about frequency, imagine yourself clicking on your keyboard all day. Not only is that posture not great for our wrist, but it's a lot of repetitive motion for our fingers. If you're someone who uses the mouse a lot, it's that same movement. But quite often, we don't actually mouse with our shoulders. We usually mouse with our wrists. And that posture right there is a very small amount compared to the big shoulder joint that could take that movement. So if we were to look at this and say, how can we reduce physical discomfort? We would want to stay moving as much as possible, but also find postures that are aligning us into that prior picture of neutral positions as frequently as possible. Ergonomics is not only for the workplace. That's the bottom line. It takes place in everything that we do. All right, sleep. Who doesn't love sleep? Some days I wish I could sleep all day. I tried to break this down for you in a way where you guys can take actionable steps after this presentation. And I think myself, it comes down to 3 parts. What do I do before bed? What's my pre-night or pre-bed routine? And then what does my morning look like? And I don't know if anyone feels like they're constantly getting great sleep, but I know that it's not always a given, and I wish it could be for everyone. So what are some things you can do to set yourself up for a healthy night's sleep to feel physically your best in the morning? The first thing is to avoid alcohol or stimulants in the afternoon. I had 1 cup of coffee at 2 o'clock one afternoon, and I didn't go to bed until after 3 a.m. I couldn't get it out of my system. And for some of you, that might be 10 a.m. It has to be your last cup of coffee because we all are different. But consider what you're putting in your body and consider where you are in your day that can allow you to be physically ready to head into that pre-bed routine. The second item is allowing time for digestion. I talk about this in my house on a regular basis. It takes 2 to 4 hours for a bulk of digestion to take place. If you're eating at 8 p.m., that really means you shouldn't be attempting to lay down until 10 to 12 p.m. or midnight. The reason for that, which I'm sure we've all had too, is heartburn. And once you start going through that and putting food into your body, it's important that our body stays upright. The digestive process follows gravity and it heads downward. So the second we decide to lay down, our bodies just aren't really sure which way the food should move. And sometimes that does end up in indigestion, heartburn. So taking the 2 to 4 hour time frame after eating and consuming water will help the food continue to digest, but digest before you go to sleep. And if that's not helpful in getting you set up for a good night, not sure what will. The next item is your pre-bed routine. I'm sure you guys are all creatures of habits. You wake up in the morning, you want your cup of whatever it is, and then you have your things that you get done throughout the day. Consider your pre-bed routine the exact same thing. If you have a routine, you can prep for the morning. That might reduce your stress in the morning. It also includes having some light considered options to set your room up for sleep. You can also consider limiting sound and adjusting the room temperature. Ideally, and this is so challenging, all of the items that would set you up for a physically sound sleep would be helping your body prepare mentally. We're not going to talk about that today, but they're all connected in that sense. So try and find a pre-bed routine that works for you. In the morning, start off your morning with a progressive alarm. And that's an alarm that doesn't just blast at you. It's an alarm that starts off very slow and it increases, allowing you to transition from your REM sleep or your deep sleep into a conscious state of awakeness. Also consider waking up at the same time every day. That helps you have a consistent routine and your body knows what to expect. Consider adding some stretching or breathing, and that's really just to mentally prepare for the day, but that also helps set your heart rate up for the expectations of that day. Lastly, make your bed. Making your bed is not only a great practice to get into, but making your bed is one thing that you can mark off your checklist that starts your day off on a high because you've already accomplished something before you've even left your bedroom. When you get quality sleep, that turns into you having a great day because you're physically ready, because you've had enough digestion time, sleep time, and then had a good transition into the morning. All right. Preventative doctor's appointments. I know that doctor's visits are not always the funnest thing to talk about, but there are some key things that really do make a difference. I grouped these out by age because that's generally how doctor's appointments go. On an annual basis, regardless of your age, you should be going to your annual physical. It's a great way for you to talk to a doctor, talk about anything that might be bothering you, and get some blood work done. It also is a chance to discuss immunizations and wherever you might fit on needing them. As you get older, blood work specifically can focus on cholesterol. And getting ahead of any issues is a cost saving, even though it might seem like an annoyance in the moment. but addressing issues earlier can help you be physically healthier to deal with them as you get older. Dentist, I love dentists. We're going to talk about that a little bit deeper in a moment, but dentist, you can go twice annually. Some insurances cover 4 times a year. If you're able to go 4 times a year, I highly encourage it. I'll explain in a minute. As you continue on with the decades, eye doctors are important. Having eye health is a physical health. Being able to see, being able to drive, being able to be aware of the peripherals and how as we age, that area gets a little bit smaller. It just helps you stay safe and understand how your choices can impact others too. For the ladies, gynecologist visits, not only are they important, they can help detect things earlier by going earlier. And I know that having some age-related considerations during that time frame, it really does position you to be mentally prepared for the changes that are coming. So I encourage you to be seeing your gynecologist annually. As we head into the 40s and older, there are additional screenings. That includes screening for colorectal cancer, which is like a newsflash. That age has just been lowered down to 45. So if you have not already and you are above the age of 45, I highly recommend it. We also have screenings for diabetes and mammograms. I just briefly want to touch upon colorectal cancer because they are calling it the pandemic of the middle age right now. There have been such a large increase in colorectal cancers, screenings and findings that they've lowered that age, but they're also saying that they're catching it a little later. So if you have a family history of it or are having one or more symptoms, it's something that you should reach out to your doctor for as quickly as you can. Although symptoms can overlap with other things, the symptoms listed here, the dark bloody stools, abdominal pain, an aggressive weight loss, and change in bowel habits are all really important signals for the colorectal cancer. All right. I know I'm picking up speed here, but I want to be aware of all the time that you guys have. Dentists, taking care of your teeth on a regular basis is important because cavities, gingivitis, and gum disease have been linked to Alzheimer's disease and diabetes. And although research is still always improving on that, when we have gum disease or gingivitis, it's been shown in testing, I will say, of mice, that the connection between the testing and the gum disease to Alzheimer's, it mirrors exactly what our Alzheimer's looks like. So there is a direct connection. They are making that argument more and more, but having that health of gums not only is good for the reduced risk of Alzheimer's, but just continuing to keep gums healthy, keep teeth healthy, and any of the other social, physical aspects that you might want to consider of just having healthy teeth in your mouth. All right. I have one more section here, which is the physical side, and that's micro breaks. And I'm not going to talk about getting to a gym, but all of those questions that you guys answered at the beginning. Who remembers being able to do things and being active? And would you consider picking up that activity today? The answer is probably no, but the reality is the reason why you might not want to pick up that activity is because it's something you haven't done in a long time. Your body is now used to different movements. So if there's a way for you to bring physical activity into your life, what would it be? It should be something that you enjoy, whether it was younger ages or now, and you should have a plan to fit it into your schedule. I personally like a plan and a backup plan because things do pop up and that's okay. Consider what you like doing. Do you enjoy competitive natures? Is CrossFit your thing? Do you prefer a group setting where you might want to go into a studio and have a group of people providing you with that encouragement? Or are you someone who likes hitting levels, meaning you like to accomplish the next? CrossFit might be your thing, but also consider alternative things such as Taekwondo. Lastly, for activities, even if you have a minute during this phone call, for example, take opportunities to do things, whether it's wrist rolls, leg extensions, you might be standing. And if you're not on camera, you could be doing squats or movements throughout this. Either way, the healthiest thing you could do to stay active and do a micro break is every 20 minutes, look away 20 feet for roughly 20 seconds. And what that does is it breaks the eye connection for the screen, allowing your eyes to take a refresh moment where literally you get to blink and rehydrate them. But it also allows you to disconnect from the screen that you're on. I'm going to hand this out to you guys because this is just a little fun fact, but moving more has been associated with decrease in falls, and by participating in activities that are multi-component, meaning you're doing two things at once, it also helps reduce fall risk. So when I talk to individuals about what do you want your future years to look like, taking into consideration, do you want to be independent living? Do you want to be able to do things without asking for help? Those are some things that being physically active does do for you. And your fun fact of the day is after the age of 30, generally muscle mass in your body decreases by 3 to 5% annually. So that means by staying active, even in small bouts throughout the day, you're going to combat that 3 to 5%, and that's going to help you stay healthier physically, mentally, and emotionally, because your body will be able to handle the demands that you place on them. So your call to action, pick one of the items we've reviewed today. Set a SMART goal, which means specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. And consider tracking that goal. It's okay to revisit it, to restart it. Every day could be a new day one, but just give yourself something to focus on. And when you're able to focus on something, you're more likely to work towards it and meet that goal. I think that's all I have for today. So I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to speak with you. And I hope that I can have that opportunity again at some point in the future.
Thanks a lot, Sam. That was definitely very, very informative. And hopefully, I assume you're going to send us the slides because I think those will be very, very useful to folks. Any questions, Angela? So Sam covered it all. So thanks a lot. We will get back to you about what the next bar talk is. But again, thank you so much, Sam. That was really very, very informative and helpful. And with that, I think we are good. Thanks a lot.